Wrestling has always celebrated toughness. Some guys are tough in the ring, some guys are tough in reality, but there's one man who became a living legend for being both. His name, Meng, or as WWE fans remember him, Haku. A man so dangerous that even the most feared wrestlers of all time wouldn't mess with him. And today we're looking at the story of the ultimate enforcer, the man, the myth, the monster, Meng. Tonga Fafita was born in Tonga in 1959, and life in Tonga was not easy. It was a place that bred toughness, community and pride. And as a teenager, he was sent to Japan to train in sumo wrestling. Think about that for a second. A kid from Tonga, alone in Japan, enduring one of the most grueling sports in the world. That discipline shaped him, and it also opened the door to professional wrestling. And by the early 1980s, he had transitioned to pro wrestling in Japan before moving to the United States. In WWF, he gained recognition as part of the Islanders tag team alongside Tama. They were quick, athletic, and fierce, but Haku's piercing glare and aura of intensity stood out. It didn't take long before promoters realised he wasn't just another tag team guy. WWF fans saw him transform into King Haku, a dangerous singles competitor and loyal enforcer to the likes of Andre the Giant. And later in WCW he became Meng, and this is where his reputation as a terrifying force reached its peak. His finishing move, the Tongan Death Grip, was simple but devastating, and it fit him perfectly. You believed it because you believed him. And when Meng walked to the ring, he didn't feel like a character. He felt like someone who might actually rip your head off. But what really set Meng apart wasn't just what he did on TV. It was what people whispered about backstage. Meng earned a reputation as the toughest man in professional wrestling history. And we're not talking about gimmicks. We're talking about real-life stories that spread like wildfire across locker rooms. Stories like the time outside a nightclub when he was jumped by several men. Most wrestlers would have been hospitalized, but Meng, he left them in pieces. The time he literally bit a man's nose off in a fight. Yes, you heard that right. A man's nose, gone. And the time he was handcuffed by police during an altercation and he simply snapped the handcuffs apart like they were toys. These aren't barroom tall tales told by drunk fans. These are stories retold by fellow wrestlers, and they all say the same thing. If you ask the toughest wrestlers alive who they feared, the answer wasn't Bruiser Brody. It wasn't Harley Race. It wasn't even Brock Lesnar. The answer was always Meng. Ric Flair once said Meng could tear your face off and nobody would be able to stop him. Harley Race himself, one of the toughest men ever in wrestling, flat out called him the toughest man I have ever met. And when those names say it, you know it's real. Now let's put this into perspective. Wrestling history is filled with men known for being tough. Ken Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man, a legit MMA fighter who fought in the UFC during its wildest days. Brock Lesnar, NCAA heavyweight champion, UFC heavyweight champion, a freak athlete who steamrolled opponents in both wrestling and MMA. You've Bruiser Brody, a wild man whose brawls blurred the line between performance and chaos. And Harley Race, a man who could outdrink you, outfight you, and still show up the next night to wrestle an hour-long main event. And all of them were legitimate tough guys, no doubt about it. But here's the thing, ask anyone from that era, and when you mention Meng, the answer is always the same. He's on a different level. And why? Because while others had reputation, Meng had mythology. No one has more stories, no one inspired more fear, and no one commanded more respect than he did. Ric Flair once said Brock Lesnar is scary in a fight, but Meng could tear through anyone if he wanted to. And Harley Race admitted he wouldn't want to test him, and when the toughest men in the world refused to test you, that tells you everything. So while the Shamrocks, Lesnar's proved their toughness in MMA or strong style wrestling, Meng's toughness was proven in bars, airports, locker rooms and streets. Not scripted, not sanctioned, real life. And that's why Meng stands alone. Now, here is the fascinating part. Outside of those violent stories, Meng was described as one of the kindest, most generous, most humble men you'd ever meet. And his tag partner and lifelong friend, the Barbarian, described him as a brother, and many wrestlers recall that Meng would do anything to help his family, his friends, or his fellow Polynesians. It's this duality that makes him so beloved. Yes, he was a monster if provoked, but if you respected him, he was a soft-spoken, loyal and incredibly caring man, and the kind of guy you'd want on your side in any situation. So Meng may not have been world champion, he didn't always headline pay-per-views, he wasn't always in the spotlight, but in wrestling, respect often means more than titles, and Meng earned more respect than almost anyone who ever laced up a pair of boots. His influence is still felt today. The wave of Polynesian wrestlers dominating wrestling, from the Usos to Roman Reigns to his own sons, they all walk a path that Meng helped pave. Behind the scenes, younger wrestlers learned from his discipline, his humility, and yes, his reputation. He became the ultimate measuring stick, and if you wanted to know what tough really meant, you compared it to Meng. And wrestling is filled with legends. Some are crafted by promoters, some are exaggerated by fans, but Meng's legend, that one is real. A man of unmatched toughness, a loyal friend, a family man, a wrestler who deserved more credit than he ever got. So here's to Meng, or Haku, the man who may very well be the toughest wrestler of all time. Do you think Meng was the toughest wrestler ever, or does someone else take the crown? Let me know below, and thanks for joining me once again. And as always, take care and keep grappling with greatness.